is not time-space continuum. What is big is the consciousness which accommodates the time-space continuum. The time-space continuum also is grounded in this consciousness. And if you analyze or try to inquire into the nature of the consciousness, where do I see this consciousness? The only way to inquire into that, are you conscious or not? Are you conscious? I hope you are conscious. If you are not conscious, at least you are conscious of that. Listen, we all are conscious people. And our existence is an indubitable existence. You cannot deny your existence. I can deny every other existence. I can deny your existence. I can deny the existence of this building. But your own existence you cannot deny. I cannot deny my own existence. I exist. That is the fundamental reality from where we extrapolate things. If you don't exist, then nothing to talk about, isn't it? If you say I don't exist, that shows what? Suddenly you stand up and say, Swami, I don't exist, for an argument's sake. Then I know you exist there. Earlier I never noticed you. Now I start noticing you, because the very denial is an assertion there. You cannot deny your own existence. So the only indubitable truth in this world is my existence. The rest are all subjected to doubt. The rest are all dubitable. The rest are all subject to be analyzed and understood properly. So keep inquiring into that I experience, then finally you will reach the bottom, the rock bottom, which is the meaning of consciousness. So these are some of the general understanding of Advaita Vedanta. So I repeat because it requires little more repetition. So fundamentally what exists is consciousness, and that is my essential nature. That consciousness, the desire arises, so kamayata, desire arises, and that desire becomes trigunas, panchabhutas, and then from this the trigunas and panchabhutas interacting between themselves became mind and matter, and the consciousness enters into the mind and become you and I to enjoy the world. Therefore, the world is for enjoyment. Enjoyment does not mean you have to cut down all the trees and kill all the animals. That's not the enjoyment. Or pollute all the river, because Bhagavan said this is for enjoyment. That's not the meaning of enjoyment. The best enjoyment is watching, like enjoying your children. You don't eat up your children, but you enjoy them. Enjoying the sunrise. You don't grab the sunlight, but you enjoy it. Or the moonrise, or a flower. Of course, sometimes we pick the flower to put in your hair. So that's not the enjoy it, just enjoy the flower. Enjoy the river, enjoy the ocean, enjoy the sunrise, enjoy the sunset, enjoy the starry night. Enjoy the animals. So enjoyment does not mean you have to consume everything. Enjoyment means you let them be what they are, and so that you can be what you are, and in that interspaces there is the bubbling enjoyment happens. So this is what the scheme of Advaita Vedanta. Now in this scheme, what is there other than consciousness or Brahman? Is there anything? There is nothing. Brahman is the world, Brahman is the sense organs, Brahman is your mind, Brahman is the intellect, Brahman is your identity, and it is Brahman through your identity enjoying and experiencing the whole world. And from this is called the Advaita standpoint. From this Advaita standpoint, there is nothing but Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. Sarvam Vishnu Mayam. Sarvam Shiva Mayam. In this understanding, we have to, from this standpoint, we have to discuss this subject here. Gold realization is God realization. If this is the truth, what is the distance between you and Brahman? If this is the truth, is there any distance between you and Brahman? Is there any qualitative or quantitative spatial distinction between you and Brahman? We realize there is no distance between you and Brahman, because you are Brahman. What you see is Brahman. And then what is the point? It's saying that I want to reach Brahman. I want to know Brahman. I want to realize Brahman. Brahman cannot be reached. Brahman cannot be realized. Brahman cannot be known. Why? You are Brahman. If Brahman can be known, you are creating a distinction between you, the knower, and the known Brahman. So I am trying to change the equation. Instead of reaching or knowing or realizing Brahman, we have to express Brahman. So we have to start from the end. Instead of saying that all my sadhana, through the various disciplines, I am going to reach Brahman, I am going to realize Brahman, I am going to meditate upon Brahman. How can you meditate upon Brahman? You are Brahman. To meditate means should be separate from you. I can meditate on you, I can meditate on the tip of my nose, I can meditate on this glass, but how can I meditate on Brahman? So this proposition is a false proposition that I have to reach God. Most of the people say this, isn't it? Punarabhijananam, punarabhijananam, punarabhijanani, matare, sayanam, yagatamsare, bhagatustare, kribaya pare, pahi murare. Please lift me from this miserable world and take me to the Vaikunta or Kailasa or whatever your imagination tells you. So instead of my proposition, instead of saying that I want to reach God, I want to realize God, I want to meditate on God, I want to know God, in all that you are creating a split between you and God. And when you create a split between you and God, God become a limited entity, Brahman become a limited entity. And the limited Brahman is not worth meditating upon. He is like my uncle, isn't it? It's not worth meditating upon because it's a limited Brahman. If Brahman is limited, God is limitless. If Brahman is limitless, then it is not an object of reaching or realizing or knowing or meditating. Then what is this Brahman? This Brahman being your essential nature, it is something to be expressed. It is something to be expressed. So how do you express this Brahman? So we are reformulating the theory. We are not reaching God, we are not realizing God, we are not meditating on God, we are not trying to know God, we are trying to express God. We are trying to manifest God. We are trying to incarnate God. And God's nature or Brahman's nature is pure bliss. Pure bliss. Because consciousness is pure bliss. So instead of thinking of realizing God, we are thinking of expressing the godliness in us, expressing the bliss and happiness that we are. So now we are beginning from where everybody ends. Everybody's goal is to reach Brahman, isn't it? Everybody's goal is to know God. So you are creating a gap between God, and which is the source of all misery in our life. The struggle, the misery, you never reach it. Because you are trying to reach the horizon. There is no horizon. The more you reach the horizon, the more it recedes from you. You know, like that little donkey which is tethered to a cart and a little bit of few carrots dangling in front of it. The donkey tried to reach it. The donkey does not, there is always a distance between the carrot and itself. Therefore, it is trying to reach that carrot, it will never reach. It only carries the burden for the rest of its life. So therefore, we are reformulating the proposition. It is not reaching God, it is not realizing God, it is expressing the godliness that you are. And how do you express that godliness in you? By entertaining desire and setting goals. You have to set goals. And what are your goals? What are your desires? And each one of you have got desires. Anybody without desire in this group? each one of you, because desire is the core energy in you, the kama or desire. So you have to admit, explore and express that desire. What is your core desire? What motivates you? What propelling you? What drives you? What is that which make you think and act? So one has to probe into that core desire which we have, the core ambition you have, the core aspiration you have, without which you don't feel comfortable. So today we have to discover our core desire. Some people say, I am a spiritual person, I have no desire. You are faking it. It is not true. We all have desires, and we are afraid of expressing that. Partly because your parents and your gurus and your scriptures have condemned desires. As a result of that, we don't want to express that. Partly because of fear. I may not be able to fulfill my desire. Partly because the fear of others obstructing, putting obstacles in your path. And as a result of that, we are not able to admit our core desire, which is burning in the very core of our heart. So we have these desires, and these desires are very important for knowing who we are, because to know means to express our nature. So therefore, to realize, understand and experience God, we have to set goals in life. Man is a goal-seeking animal, isn't it? We all have goals to realize. You have goals. I have goals. Others have goals. But we are not able to admit that. We are not able to probe it. We are not willing to accept it. So the first discipline that we have to cultivate is admit that we have core desires. If you don't admit it, you suppress it, and as a result of suppression, you create a large basement of unconsciousness or unconscious basement, and it creates conflict and repression, suppression, and your consciousness become distorted and desires become perverted, and then you lead a apparently holy life, but deeply you are an unholy person, a hollow person. So in realizing or understanding your essential spiritual godly nature, what is required is admitting that we have these desires. So explore that desire. By exploring that desire, we will be able to express our full potential. And hence this formulation, goal realization is God realization. So there is another fallacious notion that once I realize God, I have nothing to do. I have realized God. I have reached. Therefore, nothing to do. Because every doing is to realize God, which is again a wrong notion. Because God realization or understanding God is not an event. It is a continuous process. So you have to continuously explore your desire and express it and try to fulfill those desires. So that is why this formulation, goal realization is God realization. It is not a one-time event, it is a continuous experience. I keep a goal in front of me, I reach that goal, then I go beyond that goal and put up another goal in front of me. And the more goals that you try to realize, the deeper you go in your experience of the day. Do I make any sense? Because this is something which is counterintuitive, as they say. Because so far about spirituality, our understanding is you should suppress all your desire. There should not be any desire. It is something like, when you take the hot potato, mother has gone to the puja room, then you go to the kitchen, the potato is being boiled and the smell is very attractive. Then you take one hot potato, put in your mouth, and then the mother comes. then what will be your condition? You don't want to admit it, you don't want to say you are swallowed a potato or the potato in your mouth, so you start blabbering. So similarly, this spiritual, for a long time, this has been dinned into us. Desire is bad, desire is bad, desire is bad. But the desire is like a hot potato in your mouth. It is there. Instead of understanding its structure and the need, like Mahabharata says, Kama Gita says, Kama is very, very powerful. The more you try to suppress it, the more it will try to express in crooked ways. So therefore, we are understanding, our understanding is, desire is a tool of exploring and expressing your divine potential, your Brahmanhood. And the desire means you are trying to put a goal in life. So these goals are all material goals. There is no spiritual goal. Spiritual goal is an illusion. Spiritual goal means you are putting Brahman far away from yourself and you are trying to realize that goal. So it is by putting these material goals and trying to fulfill those goals, and one goal is fulfilled, then you put another goal. For example, the hierarchy of values, the first value is self-preservation. Self-preservation. And for that you need creature comforts. For self-preservation you need food, shelter, clothing, and a comfortable living environment so that you can sleep peacefully, isn't it? Which is very important. And if you don't sleep peacefully, then you go crazy. So self-preservation needs clothing, food, shelter, and a peaceful environment without mosquitoes and rats and then tigers